iconic franchise? I don't know. That's what I got out of that. As we welcome y'all to a Friday edition of NFL Live. I'm Anna Storm. This is Dan Graziano and Field Yates. We have a small but mighty crew today. All right. So let's kick it off with the Steelers. It was just 4 years ago, you bet, when Aaron Rodgers led the NFL in total QBR. He won his 4th MVP award, but of course he fell to 26 in QBR the following season, missed most of 2023 with the Achilles, and was 25th in his final year with those Jets before going to Pittsburgh. Rodgers hoping to get back to his old self with the Steelers. We got the opportunity to play with DK Metcalf.
DK is a lead by example guy, and he's a big reason that I'm in Pittsburgh as well.
Hell yeah.
Conversations that we had, and just the kind of person that he is. And this just started here. I didn't really know DK at all. And, he's like, I work out at 6 a.m. every day. I'm like, okay, already, this guy has discipline. This guy has a drive. He's not just a specimen, but he's a really solid human being. Like, he is a solid dude, and he leads by example. The way he practices, and that's, I think, one of the most encouraging things is the room goes how the top dog goes. And when DK catches the ball and finishes 60 yards to the end zone, it makes everybody else want to do the same thing.
All right, both guys in their first year with the Steelers. Field, what are your expectations for that connection?
Yeah, Hannah, I'd say that my offensive expectations for Pittsburgh are a little bit murky, but I do think they look up. If this team does something a bit differently than the way they approached the game last year, I felt like throughout much of last season, the Steelers just wanted to run the football, control the clock, and play championship-level defense, where the second half of their schedule revealed that's not good enough for them when they played the more difficult teams. DK Metcalf doesn't just lead by example, as Aaron Rodgers said. He leads in terms of explosiveness, as no player had more 20-plus yard completions last season. Aaron Rodgers was tied for the 8th most completions of 20 or more yards in the NFL last year, and tied for 14th in terms of completion percentages on those throws down the field. Aaron Rodgers is certainly a capable downfield thrower. I want to see this team, who, by the way, forked over a $150+ million extension to DK Metcalf as part of the trade, say we are putting our money where our mouth is, and say we're going to feature this player down the field who inarguably is one of the most unique in this entire regard in the league, because when you're playing the Baltimores and the Kansas Cities and the Buffaloes of the AFC, just playing great defense isn't enough. You have to be complementary in offense, and the Steelers showed down the stretch last year they simply weren't close enough to that.
Yeah, and there are still some lingering questions, Field. Is the offensive line going to be good enough? Are they going to be able to count on the rookie running back, Caleb Johnson? On the defensive side of the ball, those guys are getting a little bit older. It probably looks like one of the older starting defenses in the league. So there are questions other than about Aaron Rodgers and the passing game. But in terms of Rodgers and DK Metcalf, and talking a little bit this summer to their offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, he was saying he and Rodgers were in contact throughout the process prior to Rodgers signing, checking in periodically throughout the spring, talking about what the offense would look like. Obviously, they knew they would have DK, so they've discussed how to use him. So it should be a collaboration, I think, between Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers that'll really get ramped up once they get to training camp. Minicamp was not about Aaron Rodgers on the field making throws. He was getting acclimated to the place. He signed just a couple days before that minicamp. They wanted to see Will Howard, the rookie, get some reps in minicamp. But once they get to training camp, I think we'll start to see how this offense takes shape with Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, let's hope that is a collaboration, Dan, because we have seen in the past Aaron Rodgers not be on the same page with his coaches in terms of play calling. All right, time now for some top stories. Let's stay there in Pittsburgh. TJ Watt, Graz, what do we know?
TJ Watt, 1 year left on his contract, looking for a contract extension, still doesn't have one. Go back to the last time this happened with TJ Watt. He attended training camp, but he didn't really do any on-field work until the contract was done, which was only a couple of days before the start of the regular season. So if history is any indication, this is a situation that could drag out a little while. Steelers hoping to get him under contract for the long term. Bengals still hoping to get Trey Hendrickson under contract for the long term. These two situations are a little bit connected. They're both 30-year-old players, and Hendrickson, of course, coming off 2 highly productive seasons. Bengals have been hesitant to guarantee money in future years, given Hendrickson's age and their long-standing policy against that. But we'll see. If Watt's deal gets done, it might be another helpful data point for Hendrickson. Former Ravens kicker Justin Tucker, who is now not with any team, is a free agent. The NFL announced yesterday Tucker was suspended for the first 10 weeks of this coming season. This is as a result of a personal conduct violation. Tucker facing multiple allegations of sexual misconduct from massage therapists. He could sign with the team and play in the preseason, but then once that preseason's over, he'd have to stay away for the first 10 weeks and wouldn't be able to join that team until week 11. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers announcing contract extensions yesterday for their head coach Todd Bowles and their general manager Jason Licht. This is a pairing that's been highly successful together. The Buccaneers have won 4 straight division titles, and the year before that, they were a wild card team that won the Super Bowl. So well-deserved extensions for the Brain Trust there in Tampa, and they will continue together for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, congrats to those guys. 3 seasons with the Buccaneers. Bowles has led them to 3 NFC South titles, just the 5th coach in the last 3.5 decades to win the division title in his first 3 seasons with the team, as he joins Barry Switzer, Norv Turner, John Fox, and Matt LaFleur. And of those 4, only Fox with the Broncos won 4 straight. Obviously, they took a flyer on Baker Mayfield. That worked out great. What strikes you, Field, about the way they handled the transition from the Arians and Brady era?
Yeah, and on top of that, Hannah, it was the transition from a salary cap tight team to a team that all of a sudden is right back in great position. What I would say about the Buccaneers is it feels like almost all the things that we talk about with them are about football. It's about a team that is winning consistently, that has drafted extremely well, that has found some diamonds in the rough, which candidly Baker Mayfield was when he signed as a free agent. Not because we didn't know the name Baker Mayfield, but because his value had taken some dramatic shifts in turns when he was traded from Carolina, briefly with the Rams. This was a bet on a player who the Buccaneers had scouted, of course, back when he came out in 2018, was the first overall player in the draft. I appreciate how drama-free the Tampa Bay Buccaneers often are, maybe almost always are. This team wins, they draft extremely well, and I believe this is one of the teams that has a chance to make that next step in the NFC and become a true blue contender in that conference.
They certainly hope so, and they certainly believe, Field, that they have the pieces to do it. You go back a couple of years to when they signed Baker Mayfield, they believed they were getting somebody whose career was ready to bounce. He had been injured, and he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, but they felt like he was healthy and ready to go. And that brief time he spent with the Rams that previous year benefited him a lot. The offensive coordinator will be new for the 3rd straight year. Dave Canales a couple of years ago, Liam Cohen this past year. Both those guys are now head coaches in the NFL. So Baker Mayfield, a little bit of a kingmaker in terms of offensive coordinators. So we'll see where that goes. But other than the offensive coordinator position, a lot of continuity. We talk about the GM and head coach staying the same. They bring back Chris Godwin. Obviously still have Mike Evans in the wide receiver core. So, yeah, a lot around Baker Mayfield in terms of that structure stays the same, even as the offensive coordinator changes. And we got to give Baker credit for being the constant here these last couple of years that has succeeded with all that.